You have to be good at your craft.
My job is to perfect my craft.
Being great at your craft is a requirement.
What's up, Believe Nation? It's Evan. My one word is believe, and I believe in you. I believe you have Michael Jordan level talent at something, and I want you to find it, embrace it, and use it to make a difference. Now, I started the One Rule series because I watch a lot of top 10s in making these videos for you, and some of the rules come up over and over and over and over again. So that's the goal of this series, to smush together the rules that keep coming up consistently. So today, we're gonna learn how to perfect your craft. Enjoy.
And the number one lesson I could offer you where your work is concerned is this: become so skilled, so vigilant, so flat out fantastic at what you do that your talent cannot be dismissed. Stop comparing yourself to other people. You're only on this planet to be you, not someone else's imitation of you. I had to learn that the hard way on the air, live, anchoring the news. One night in my 20s, when I first started broadcasting, I was 19, moved to an anchor by the time I was 20, and I was just pretending to be Barbara Walters. I was just trying to talk like Barbara, act like Barbara, hold my legs like Barbara. And I was on the air, and I hadn't read the copy fully, and I called Canada. And I did that on the air. I cracked myself up because I thought Barbara would never call Canada. And that little breakthrough, that little crack, that little moment that I stopped pretending allowed the real me to come through. Your life journey is about learning to become more of who you are and fulfilling the highest, truest expression of yourself as a human being. That's why you're here.
Fight, expect to be uncomfortable. And if you're not devoting between 8 and 12 hours a day on your craft, then you're not really trying to be a professional. Right. Like, you gotta realize you're trying to be competitive. Being a professional means being the best in the world. That doesn't just come with skill, that comes with discipline. Right. You know, that means you have to have a certain kind of work ethic. That means you're doing things that most won't. Right. People really don't understand it. Like, they think they got skill, so everything's gonna come to them. Skill is actually like a curse. I've seen people with no skill that realize it and understand that they have to work hard to get this skill, work so hard that they do better than the people that have skill, and that are arrogant and entitled, that feel that it should just come to them, and then they just become a waste. Right. You know, having potential is bullshit if you don't realize it. Right. It becomes corny. Like, you're the cool guy when you have potential, but like 10 years later, if you don't realize it, then you're the corny guy. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I never want to ever be that guy.
The problem is, if you have the greatest hammer and the greatest screwdriver and the greatest wrench, the greatest, in front of you, if you don't use them properly, you will lose. Right. If there's a nail that I have to put in that ground, but I take the wrench and I hit it when the hammer was right there, it still comes down to the practitioner. And you have to be good at your craft, and you have to love if you don't love sales, if you don't love it, you have no chance. Because it's so hard, it's so painful, there's so much rejection. Right. So those are the things I think about.
So technology is clearly an enabler, as you've just said there, though. Yes. The person is equally important. And
more important.
Right, and going back to
I just apologize for jumping in, but let me make it perfectly straight. If I go play Roger Federer right now in tennis, and I have the greatest tennis racket ever made, like taken from the Mars' new resources, and he took a John McEnroe 1974 tennis racket, he would whip my ass. Like, I'm crushing salespeople that have every Salesforce, every one of your competitors, 37 features, upgraded, went to every pro conference, watching this. I will beat their ass in sales every day of the week. Right. Pure talent.
You got your ring. What's next?
Keep getting better.
At what?
Playing basketball. I mean, my job is to perfect my craft, and championship or not, I gotta perfect my craft until I can't play no more. And then that's when I'll sit down at the table and reflect on my career.
People put too much faith in the tools.
It's not about the tools. It's not about the tools that you're using. It's not about the suit that you're wearing. It's not about the car that you're driving. It's about you. At the end of the day, it comes down to you. I was asked to do a roundup of different entrepreneurs of what your favorite tool was to help you build your business. And they asked me and they asked 30 other people, what is the tool that you love most that helps drive your business forward? And I was the only one who didn't want to give a tool. Everybody listed their tools, and I was at the end of the day, I was posted at the very bottom, the tools don't matter. Stop blaming the tools. And tools are important, don't get me wrong. I love using tools. I think YouTube's a great tool. I think cameras are a great tool. I use tools every single day in my business to help spread my message and help my company grow. But it's not the reliance on the tools. This is where I think a lot of people fall down. I had an entrepreneur friend of mine come to me and says, what tools do you use for your calendar? How do you keep track of your to-dos? Because she had tried using a notebook and using Evernote and using OneNote and using all sorts of different tools, using her phone, everything. And nothing was working. It's like, you know what? The problem is not the tools. The problem is you, right? The tools can help you go faster, but if you don't have the mindset, if you don't have the ambition, if you don't have the drive, if you're not putting in the work, then the tools will never save you. And I think people have an over-reliance on the tools, and that's my biggest problem with it. The tools can help you do that last 20%, but it's 80% you. It's 80% the hustle and the hard work to get really good at the thing, and the tool can help you go further. I see tools as like pouring gasoline on a fire. You need to have a spark. You need to have a fire to get something going, and then the tool, the gasoline, can help it explode. But if you just pour gasoline on wood, nothing's gonna happen. I think the same thing about suits and cars. I think a lot of people think you wear a suit, now you're gonna be successful. A suit doesn't mean anything. Clothing is an expression of self, not a place where you get your self-worth. Somebody with no suit on could go in and close a sale because they are who they are. They are confident that they can close that sale, where somebody who's only deriving confidence from their suit will never win. And so, yes, tools are important, but stop relying on the tools. Get so darn good at the thing that you're doing that you cannot be ignored, and then use the tools to help you take it to the next level.
When I started studying, everyone says, oh, you're going to be a gym teacher. I said, no. I said, I'm going to work with professional athletes. I knew what I wanted to do. I said, I'm going to work with professional athletes. So that was the goal I set in my mind, and I just said, hey, that's going to take a place in my head. That's the only thing that I want to do, and I got to figure out a way to get there. So I studied and learned my craft better than anybody else. Did I start with the professional athletes? No. After I graduated, I went to work in a local health club. Really, I knew everything from a book standpoint, but still, you got to know how to apply it. Okay, so I, worked with anybody I could.
These are not pros.
These aren't pros. I'm talking about housewives. I'm talking about individuals that just want to get in shape. People that have had injuries from different sports. Kids, anybody. Just kind of developing programs, implementing what I've learned, and actually being able to apply it. Mm-hmm. And once I started to look at that craft, I said, okay, now I'm starting to figure out how to actually apply this stuff and how to use it and put the formulas together and put the workouts together and do all these different things. I mean, stuff that they're doing now from a workout standpoint, I was doing 30 years ago.
Wow. So none of the stuff is new to you.
Some of the stuff is new. Is different. I stay on top of it.
Right.
All right, I got to continue to learn, continue to be better myself so I can better my athletes, better my craft. Mm-hmm. But it's just a different way of doing the same thing. Right now there's a lot more resources, a lot more education, a lot more testing available. Back then you kind of had to just figure it out. A lot of individuals now, okay, especially in this generation, not only from a training standpoint, but from a knowledge standpoint, they're jumping from one thing to another. Yeah. They're using this trainer this week, they're using another trainer next week, they're using this person as a mentor on YouTube, then they're using this person over here, okay, and they're getting all this conflicting information, okay? You gotta master what you're going to master. Okay, you have to figure it out. Too many people are jumping from place to place to place. Michael, Kobe, all these individuals, they mastered one aspect of the game. When they mastered that aspect of the game, then they moved to another aspect of the game.
Being great at your craft is a requirement.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wouldn't suggest that you stop that you don't try and get work or hustle or do all those other things while you're coming up, because that's a part of the game, and that's, Gary Vee is a big advocate for hustling, and so you got to hustle your whole way, but being great at your craft actually matters. And having like the camera is like an extension of my arm, and you think about it, I've used the pro golf analogy. I don't know why I'm not crazy about golf, but those guys have to, and women, have to stand up on the tee and hit the ball down the middle, because that's what they're paid to do. It doesn't matter if it's raining, sunny, windy, if there's 10 people watching or 10 million, they're paid to hit the ball down the middle. And as an artist, you're paid to make, and as an entrepreneur, you're paid to deliver the ROI to the shareholders, and as a wrestler, you're paid to win, or like whatever your thing is, you have to be great at your craft in order to, I think, achieve. So there's this 10,000 hours, hardcore, the folks that I think are great, whether they're hacking the system and doing it in 10 hours or 10,000, that is, I think people want to skip that step.
Yeah, I get, for every email that I get about the craft of writing, I get 1,000 about how to market books. And I'm just like, hold on, the ratio is all wrong. So no, I would agree with that.
And so that gets overlooked. Like, I just want to be this awesome fashion photographer and hang out with like awesome, beautiful people in crazy locations. And it's like, dude, you got to be like, actually pick up a camera and get good at that shit first, and then you might be able to do, part.
How you were able to learn and improve your freestyle rap skills?
Oh, this is a great question. You're kidding yourself if you think anyone comes by it naturally. It's a power that you have to develop over time. And when I was in high school, I was too shy to do it. I had friends in high school who were really good at it, and I was the beatboxing kid. I was like, no, not me, pass it. I don't have anything. And then in college, I guess I had written so much by the time I got into college that I started doing it for fun with my friends and just getting less and less afraid. And I can remember one college road trip I took. I was with 3 friends. We decided to drive. I don't recommend this. We decided to drive to Vegas and back in a week. From Connecticut to Vegas and back. Wow. Everyone who left us was like, they're never coming back. But I got the Kansas 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. shift. So it's me driving. All we have are these cans of Red Bull, and everyone else in the car is passed out. And I remember popping in. We made a bunch of mixtapes for the ride. We'd worn them all out by the time we got to, I don't know, 20 hours in. But I just started drinking Red Bulls and popping in these hip-hop cassettes and rapping to myself like, I am in Kansas, I'm crazy man, this is crazy. And just literally talking to myself for 4 hours. By the time we survived Kansas and it was the next person's turn to drive, I was good at freestyle. It was a long, lonely night of the soul. There's nothing to see in Kansas at night. It's just like gas station, barn, gas station, barn. And by the end of it, I knew what rhymed. And then Freestyle Love Supreme is the other part of that, is that I'm in a hip-hop improv group where we do shows where we don't plan what's going to happen. We get suggestions from the audience, and we have a beatboxer, we have 2 guys on keys, and we just make up the show, and we just forced ourselves into that insane situation and did it until we got good at it. And so I've had my Malcolm Gladwellian 10,000 hours of practice at that, and now it's sort of, now it's almost like an Instagram filter in my brain. Like if I make an acceptance speech at the Grammys or at the Tonys, like it's easier for me to make it rhyme than to have to speak as myself. I find that less, like when I did the Jimmy Fallon thing, I was much less nervous to play Wheel of Freestyle than I was to talk as myself to Jimmy on the couch.
Apple and I, we always used to think big, but we didn't think as big as we made it. Our whole thing was, how do we stay traveling? When you're in a ghetto or a province, you yearn to travel, to see, like, oh, one day I want to go to London. One day I want to go to Cambodia, see the ruins. Well, what do I have to do to be able to travel? Well, my craft now is writing songs and performing. So you master your craft to do something that you wanted to do. Like, how do I move my mom out to projects? how do I move my entire family out the projects? My uncles, cousins, nephew, nieces. So you master your craft to be able to do that.
The one thing that I regret to say has been very common is that nobody seems to want to work for it anymore.
Oh.
You know, there's a lot of dependency on auto-tune and things of that nature. Now, don't get me wrong, I would be a complete hypocrite to sit up here and say that I haven't used auto-tune. But there's a difference between using it as a safety net and using it as wings. You know what I mean? You don't jump off the building with your auto-tune wings and fly around. That's not how you're supposed to do it. There is a thing called singing on key and learning how to do so. And it seems like a lot of the kids that run up on me don't even understand what that is. It's like, well, why? Why when I could just auto-tune it?
Now I've got a really special bonus clip from Macklemore on how to master your craft. But before that, question of the day, I want to know whose message did you learn more from in this video? Oprah Winfrey or Gary Vaynerchuk? Leave it in the comments below. I'm curious to find out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I believe in you. I hope you continue to believe in yourself and whatever your one word is. Much love. I'll see you soon and enjoy the bonus clip.
And by the time I got to college, I made this album called The Language of My World. And with this album, I did the same thing. I locked myself in my room for like all of college. That was it. I just worked my ass off in my room and kept writing, kept recording, and I wasn't great going into college, but by the time I got out, I had kind of like learned a little bit of a craft. And by the time that I got out of college, I read this book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. Nobody's read it here. One person. Anyway, this book examines this theory, right? And Malcolm Gladwell makes this point. He says it's not about what you're born with. It's not about the talent that you're born with. It's about the hours that you put into that talent. And he says that if you want to be a master, whatever it is that you love to do, if you want to develop that craft to its utmost potential, what you have to do is work. You have to work a lot. You have to put in hours. And he says that if you put in around 10,000 hours into that one thing, then eventually you will master that craft. I don't know how close I am to 10,000 hours, but every single time we step on stage, we get one step closer.
If you tell yourself a story long enough, you start to believe it. And once you believe it, you act like it.
I have tussled with a whale, I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail. Now you know I'm bad. Only last week I murdered a rock, injured a stone, hospitalized a brick. I'm so mean I make medicine sick.
The fundamental key to success is
it can take between 18 and 254 days of taking action for a new habit to stick. I've created a new course called 254 Confidence, where every single day for 254 days, I will be sending you a video between 30 seconds and 5 minutes long that you start your morning with around making you feel confident. It's absolutely free. Check out the link in the description below to get access.